All right, we're back. This is episode 9 of This One's For You. I am incredibly excited for this one. There is no way in a million years I ever would have expected this episode to happen, but I have two of my best friends from back home. We have Kyle.
How's it going?
We have Austin.
What's going on?
And this is 2.5 Hicks. So when I first started this podcast, I never really expected people from back home to kind of even hear about it, to kind of be interested in it, to even want to be in it. And I would say probably about a month ago, I got a text from these two guys in our group chat that they're like, hey man, I really like the podcast. Can we be on it? And at the time, these two were drunk as fuck. And I don't think it was that serious at the time. I think they just kind of wanted to bust my balls and just give me a hard time. But we kind of got talking about it a little more, and I was like, no, actually, although you're trying to bust my balls, there's some fun shit we could do with this. So we came up with a few topics, and we decided that we were gonna sit down and just kind of talk through some shit. We've been drinking for a couple 2-3 hours now. As soon as I crack this first one, this will be drink number 13 for the night. So we'll see how this goes. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, I never would have thought in a million years that we'd actually be doing this. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. So like I said, Kyle, Austin, two of my best friends from back home. And we've known each other for basically as long as I could remember. Friends of mine.
Since we're knee-highs to a grasshopper.
Knee-high to a grasshopper, that's right. I met Kyle kindergarten, fucking way back when. We've known him ever since, and then I think we met second grade?
Second or third.
Second grade. Who we had missed. No, we ain't gonna say her name, but we met pretty early on, elementary school, and ever since then we've been pretty close all the way through high school, middle school. Obviously since college, I moved away and these two kind of stayed back home, but we've kept in contact ever since then, and we've tried to make it a priority to get together every time I'm back home and do something together. And this is just a further example of that. So without further ado, I'll give both of these guys a little bit of a chance to introduce themselves, and kind of give you an idea of what these guys are all about. So we'll go ahead and start with Kyle.
Well, it's my first podcast. Might be a little spotty here and there,
right.
But like Pete said, we've gone way back, about kindergarten. I think it was. Yeah. I knocked my tooth out at your birthday party.
That's a good one.
Kindergarten or first grade.
You're doing the worm.
Yeah, dancing. Knocked my tooth out. Me and Pete go way back.
For sure.
Hopefully share some good stories with you guys today.
Absolutely. All right, Ames, go ahead.
Well, I've known these guys for a while. I ain't got a good memory, so I can't remember too much, but
hey, that's better than nothing.
Good times are good times. Good
times are good times. We're going to finish that with a little sip of the beer. But so we'll go ahead and get into it. You two guys have a very unique perspective compared to most of the people that we've had on. And I think one of the best things that we can get into that you guys are very well versed at is hunting. It's not something that I'm very versed at by any means at all. But, I think one of the things compared to my general audience is how you guys go about it and your perspective on it in general. So a lot of people, I feel these days have a tendency to say oh, hunting, it's so barbaric. How can you do that? How can you do that to another living creature? And as fucked up as that is for us to think about, and for you guys especially to digest, I just kind of want to have you guys share your perspective on that and where you guys come from in hunting, because I know for you two, it's not just about just killing the animal and that's it. A lot of people think it's a very barbaric process, and that's where it ends. So I want to know what your guys' perspective would be on that.
Well, I guess the quickest, simplest way to put it is, a man's got to fucking eat, right? Yeah, you can go to the grocery store, you can buy a pound of burger, whatever it may be, but
it's nice knowing where your food came from.
Exactly. They can say, it's all grass fed and all this safe shit, but how much of that is true? You can go out in the woods, you can harvest a deer, duck, goose, bear. You have a fairly good idea of where it's coming from, habitat came from, so the stuff it was eating. And even when you're processing that game, you can have the opportunity to cut open the stomach to actually see what it was feeding on, and what the life of that animal was. So you get a little more respect for it rather than just kind of going to fucking McDonald's. You're buying a quarter pounder.
And that
Big
shit isn't
Mac.
even like true meat.
No, I mean you buy a fuck thing of chicken nuggets. You got beaks in there. You got feet in there. You got
Greasy
fucking gizzards.
food.
You don't know what the fuck's in there.
Right.
So that's kind of, I guess, my way to break it down. Quick elevator pitch, I guess you could call it.
Right. Absolutely. And what would you say?
It's nice knowing that you can provide. You went out, put the time in, and brought home. I'd say the bacon, but
Right.
tenderloins or venison or anything like that. Brought home the food.
No,
literally.
absolutely. And the other thing too is I feel like a lot of people will say, well, like, that's very barbaric. Like, how could you like take a life, and like how could they suffer? Well, the thing is if you actually, take the time to invest in this, to train yourself correctly, and to actually like try and be decent at this, the point is there is no suffering for the animal. This, if you do it right, it's a single shot and that's it. It ends there. Right. So can you guys elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's, you're spending years of, I guess you could say, practice and training. You have, every state has the regulations and guidelines you have to go through for your hunter safety course or firearm safety, your bow safety, all that stuff. Plenty of rounds of target practice, of predicting every possible circumstance you can think of when being in the field. Say you're hunting deer, you gotta, keep an eye out for obstructions every which way that deer is facing, so you can make that clean, quick, ethical shot.
Right.
So right when that bullet hits that deer, it's dead and it's just running on nerves and adrenaline, and it's, a nice, easy, clean shot so that deer is not suffering. That goes for every game species.
Absolutely. What about you?
I mean,
Probably a lot of what he's saying.
Pretty much. I'm also gonna say it. I mean, it's quite an adrenaline rush when you know you did that, and it's just nice. I'm gonna say. I mean, besides the fact of just, even if you don't see anything going out hunting or get anything, it's still nice just to go out, sit in the woods. It's quiet. It's peaceful. You're out just doing your own thing, just collecting your thoughts. It's kind of like some people would say meditation sort of thing. It's just
no, absolutely.
It's just a place to get out and escape from everyday life, from the rush, and just, it is what it is. It's just, you go out and just yourself. That's it.
Right. You can be by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not concerned with all the other shit that's going on in life.
Exactly.
It's time to yourself.
It's time to yourself. Right. It's you can think about anything, and you ain't got to worry about nothing.
Absolutely. So like one of the other things though is like a lot of people, like I was saying before, will say that, like the whole process is very barbaric. So like when you actually get the kill, right, you're not in a situation where you're like trying to make it very agonizing for the animal, right? Like you're in a position where you're trying to make the kill as efficiently and effectively as possible so that there's no suffering going on, that you get the kill. And then as soon as it's done, you go about your business, you bring it home, you do everything that you have to do to get it prepped and ready, ready to eat when it comes time for that. So, I mean, can you elaborate on that at all? Or is that,
that's pretty much it.
Pretty much what it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, might sound corny to some people, but my uncle.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, good point. I'm not religious, by any means too much or anything like that. But my uncle taught me this thing. It's just an extra thing of respect for that animal. Once,
absolutely,
main thing for deer, the bigger game. Shoot a deer, he goes, you always take a piece of grass or corn or some type of browse from a twig or whatever, put it in its mouth after you kill it. That way it has something to munch on its way to the afterlife, to the deer heavens or something like that. Just an extra mutual respect, that you're giving thanks to, an animal that sacrificed its life. Granted, it, didn't have the choice, but it, its life is providing, me, my family, friends, an opportunity to eat.
Right.
It's kind of that mutual respect you have to have for these animals that some people might not understand, and, that we have for these creatures. It's not just, like you're saying, a barbaric thing. We're not just going out killing them yet. cut the horns off, bring it home. It's nothing
not
like
that.
it's nothing like that.
Right. Absolutely. And the other thing too is like, you're using it. Like it serves a purpose, right? You're bringing it home. It's a source of nutrients. You're actually getting a meal out of it. It's not like you're just killing to kill. Like there's a point behind it. Like, yes, there is kind of like a point to where, you get the kill and like, I got a 10-point buck, right? And you can kind of brag against your friends or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you're, a hunter that's actually worth a shit, like you're actually gonna, go through the entire process as, professionally and as efficiently as you can. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have that meat to feed yourself and your family. Like that's ultimately what it boils down to.
Exactly.
Like as much as people like to try and, talk up this whole process as, how fucked up it is, how torturous it is. That's really not what it is. Is at the end of the day, it's a very simple process. And the fact of the matter is that this is how things used to happen. Like this is, thousands of years ago, this is what the human species did to survive. Exactly. And that's as simple as it is. And people today try and throw, all these other barriers in there that try and make it as convoluted and as complicated and try and make you seem like, you're the worst people in the world. And that's really not what it is. It's just people that have a great sense of respect for, natural life and kind of just the entire process of being a human being and, trying to survive on natural terms without trying to fucking, go to McDonald's and have these super ultra high processed meals. And it's just a way of being kind of self-reliant on yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can rely on yourself to be able to feed your own family.
Yeah, and like one of the, there's millions of hunters out there, and there's gonna be like that 1% that are those fucking scumbags.
There's
and that's what the media highlights.
Exactly.
The ones that give the bad name
to everybody,
which is what ruins it for all of us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's such a large portion and population of, lawful, ethical hunters, millions. Right. And there's that 1% that, like you said, media captures and highlights these scumbags going out poaching deer, jacking deer, cutting the antlers off, and just degrading these animals.
And that's not what a lot of it is like in reality.
Just that 1% out of millions,
and ruin it for everybody.
A lot of I don't know if a lot of people know. I mean, nationwide, hunters are provide the most, I guess, money. I don't know if I'm wording that right, but they provide the most financial support for conservation across the nation. The millions of hunters, they're paying for tags, they're paying for supplies and animal stuff like that. All these things are put towards
the people that actually do it right.
Yeah, that do it right are paying for these conservation efforts to go in, whether it be new wetlands, new wildlife refuges, stuff like that. That's providing, better habitat and environment, ecosystems, whatever, for these animals, so we can continue to go out and harvest. Their population can thrive. It gives them, scientists better understanding how they can go out, record data on different species. So it's these ethical and lawful hunters that are paying the conservation efforts to go out and do that, or paying a very large portion of it, which I don't think a lot of people know or realize that.
Yeah, right. Like the money for like tags and licenses and all that goes back. That's what the fund is for, like adding in wetlands or putting back. It's pretty much like putting back into the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Like back into the nature. It's helping protect your future.
Right.
I don't really know like the actual word or whatever, but it's you're doing it for yourself. You're putting back into it.
You're basically putting back in what you're taking out.
Yes, pretty much. And
more.
With hunting, it's like population control. I mean, if you have too many deer or something like that, they can just wipe out gardens and like things like that.
Crops
it's like their deer can actually ruin a lot of stuff because they just take it out. And like look at some farmers, they get nuisance permits and all that because it's ruining their crop, which if their crop is ruined, you ain't going to get that in your grocery stores.
Right.
And no farms, no food pretty much nowadays.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people that just rely on grocery stores. They don't rely on growing for themselves or going out and getting their own meat.
For sure.
I mean, that's what today's society is losing, honestly, is the fact of trying to provide for yourself and relying on everything else, like relying on handouts and all this other bullshit.
Right. No, I hear you. And, that's definitely a good way to kind of sum up what we're talking about here. And we're going to kind of move forward. But one of the things that I feel like kind of plays a part of this as to what we're just talking about is, my future plans compared to a lot of people from back home. So I know in previous episodes, we've kind of talked about how, there's this kind of sense from back home that I've experienced over the last several years that people have a tendency to kind of settle, right? And for whatever reason, that seems to be more of a popular situation than most. But the thing is, at the end of the day, is that's not necessarily a bad thing, all right? You got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But, for certain people, the fact of the matter is that college is not for everybody, right? And you have to be able to realize that as a fact. And, just because you don't go to college doesn't mean that you can't make yourself successful in whatever realm it is or whatever career path you decide to take. And, for myself, obviously, I took the kind of traditional, safe-ish path with college, right? And I'm getting ready to graduate, and I'm going to go on in a professional setting and, kind of live that life. However, I would argue that my two friends here didn't necessarily take that path, right? I mean, Kyle went to college, he got a degree. Ames decided that, oh shit, I said your last name.
I don't mind.
But Austin took that route. He decided that he was going to go to college, and he gave it a shot, and he decided fairly quickly that wasn't for him. But now he's in a position where he's been able to rack up quite a bit of money over the last several years while I've been in college, and he's getting to the point to where probably in the next year or so he's going to be able to make some serious financial investments in a home and some land and some property and those kinds of things, which I'm not going to be able to do because I'm going to be paying back fucking student loans. But with that being said, I just want to kind of open the floor up to these two guys and give them a chance to kind of explain, what their future plans are and what their kind of mindset was, post high school, and then with their experiences with college, and then just kind of go from there. So Kyle, I'll open it up to you.
Yeah, kind of hit the nail on the head there, but like Pete was saying, I guess I can say Austin and I, we lived together.
One semester.
At
one semester.
We both went to Paul Smith College up in the northern Adirondack region in New York, and I'll be straight honest with everybody. It's a fucking horrible college. It is a fucking dump. It's fucking horrible. Austin went, he went for a semester and, realized, what, you can speak for yourself on that. You did what you did, and I ended up staying for fucking 4 years and got a degree in natural resource conservation and management. And funny thing is, I spend all that money to go there, and I'm not using my degree one single fucking bit. I'm a fucking land surveyor now, and granted, it's a decent job. I don't mind it. I like it. You get a lot of cool experiences. You get to travel. I'm doing shit that we were just talking about. Kind of bring it back with the honey. I'm going out there and I'm establishing new wetlands, like government wetlands, stuff like that. For habitat for animals or whatever. But yeah, I spent fucking 4 years there and a lot of money to use a degree. I'm not even, that doesn't correlate to my job one bit. But yeah, I mean, Austin.
Once you get past that though, like what would be your more ideal scenario?
Kind
of like a dream scenario.
I went to college with the intentions of becoming, an ECO officer, environmental conservation officer, game warden, in a sense, forest ranger, that type of environmental, I guess, law enforcement, I guess you can call it. Right. Just the demand right now is not, there.
Yeah, this fucking bullshit virus doesn't help, but
yeah, exactly. Academies aren't open as far as I know.
Right. But what about you? What do you think, following high school, following college, even your one semester there, where do you think that's kind of led you to, and where do you want to go moving forward?
I mean, like we've said, I only went for one semester. I had the intentions of like Kyle being a conservation officer and like that. And after about halfway through the semester, I said, well, I mean, I worked for the town for the summer, and they said there is a job opportunity if it doesn't work out. And it wasn't working out for me because I'm not the smartest guy when it comes to the books and all that. And
right.
so I was like, well, I got that. It's a decent job. You get benefits and all that. There is a lot of bullshit to it, but I mean, it's not bad work. It can be monotonous sometimes.
But it's honest work.
Can be tiresome, but it's honest work. And it pays real well.
Right.
There's some days I regret quitting college, but I don't regret only having to pay back $2,000 in student loans. So
right.
I will say that.
That's big.
No, I'd say you did probably the one semester you're there. I'd say we got the full college experience in.
Oh,
you guys did fuck off quite a bit.
Full college experience.
I remember the few times you guys would hit me up on the FaceTime or Snapchat. You guys were pretty deep into the sauce, so you guys found a way to have a good time.
Going to hall meetings, fucking caught.
Full fucking loaded.
Yeah.
Listen to the RA lecture you, and you're fucking seeing about 4 of them.
Which is that school was funny because it was literally
joke.
You had 2 groups of people. It was the complete opposite. You had people that were like, I'm gonna say flower children, like hippies and all that. They're all for the nature and all that. And then you had like us, your outdoorsmen, like that's what Paul Smith was. It was either you went for hotel management or it was like conservation officers or forestry. And you mix those two and it's just like
it's an odd group.
It's an odd group. It is an odd group.
It's very diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, the college was
diverse in a unique sense.
Yeah. It was, you go there for forestry and environmental, like, what we did, or you go there for culinary, sustainability, kind of, I guess just sustainability kind of went in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But like forestry and environmental, and then you had culinary and fucking hotel management.
Right.
And
that is an odd group to mix together.
The one thing I will brag about the college, well, I guess 2 things, is it's the largest, I believe, it's the largest campus in the country with 14,000 acres.
A lot of acres. There was a lot of acres.
Acreage-wise, it's the biggest campus in the nation. But if you go and look at it, we have 3 buildings, 3 academic buildings, and a library. Yeah. And a handful of dorms.
The campus itself is not very big.
No.
The land they own is pretty good.
And
that's pretty sick. But you guys can also kind of talk about the fact that you guys were in a pretty unique situation where, like, you guys can, like, you can hunt on that property, right?
Yeah.
And you can bring your own, like, ATVs, boats and shit. You guys can fish.
We're one of the only college, there's a few, one of the few colleges that has an on-campus armory under one of the gyms. So
that's crazy. That's sick.
Yeah, you could bring 2 long guns, whether it be a shotgun and a rifle, and then you could bring a bow, and then your ammo can. But they're professional about that. You had to.
Everything was locked up. You had to check it in and out.
You had to get escorted in by campus safety and everything like that. So they were good and professional about it. And then, like I said, I had 14,000 acres that the campus owned, and I think you could hunt 12,000 or close to 12,000 acres of it.
That's crazy.
So,
that's a fuckload of land.
Because the campus was on the rest of it. That's about all that was.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other things, real quick, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
But one of the other things that I wanted to ask you about is, like, we never kind of quite got to what your dream scenario would be.
Well,
so in a perfect world, if everything worked out exactly how you wanted it to be, what would you be doing? What would your future look like?
In a perfect world. My dream would be to have a nice hobby farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind being a bull hauler at one point in my life
Okay.
because I think they are one of the most badass motherfuckers out there.
Okay.
Because who else is gonna load up like 100 full testosterone born bulls
And they're jacked up.
that
They're
are
pissed off.
jacked up? You got about a 2,000-pound animal, and you're
That doesn't want to deal with any of your shit.
loading them in a trailer, and then
Mhm.
you got to moving around in a trailer while you're hauling them across the country, and
Okay.
just it's bull haulers are the ultimate truckers, I think.
No,
That'd be badass.
I hear you. That's pretty wild. That's not anything I want to be fucking with.
And I will say, I mean, I got my Class B and all that. I plow roads, and
Right.
I think our truckers are high up here on most respected people, I would say, personally. I mean, there's probably people out there that say, oh, they're a bunch of assholes and all that, but
Right.
if you think about it,
They're doing a bunch of shit that other people don't want to do.
where would society be if it wasn't for the truckers?
Right.
Where would society be if there wasn't for the farmers?
Honestly, no. Even just sticking with truckers, like you could think about it in a situation like we're getting ready to let this fucking vaccine for the coronavirus potentially go out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's gonna distribute that to people? It's gonna be your fucking truckers.
Everybody ain't gonna be driving to Washington D.C.
That's not how it works. So wherever these fucking
like
manufacturing companies are, we're gonna have a lot of truckers that are in very like important, essential, very short kind of time periods, be able to get these products to people. And if it wasn't for them, that would be delayed severely. However many people were able to get that to, in X amount of time.
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying, and the fact that they're like very essential people. Like people don't actually consider how important they are in their ability to get, all these products that we consider essential on a daily basis to, the tiny places like us even.
Yeah.
We're not a very populated area by any means, but we still rely on those people to get those products to us that we consider essential on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly basis. So I think there's a lot of value in what you're saying as far as like people should have a greater sense of respect for these people, fucking driving, hours on end to get the shit that we need daily.
Yeah.
For sure. So I think one of the things we can talk about moving forward, and it'd be pretty bad if we didn't at least touch on this a little bit, is politics. Now, this could go, a variety of different ways, and we're going to try and shoot as straight down the middle as we can. But I think, before getting into this, obviously we're at a point now where we know the results of the election. Biden is going to be the next president of the U.S. Trump is in a position where he is trying to, do whatever he can to recount the votes, to try and get people to, basically do whatever he can to try and swing the vote in his favor. Right. But I think a lot of people at this point, and, if you're somewhat realistic, you should know the fact that Biden won. Whether you want to admit the fact that he did it fair or not, Biden won. And I think the biggest thing moving forward is that a lot of people need to accept that. And you need to get to a point to where you can say that you hope that he does the best for us as an entire country as a whole. You might not agree with his political affiliation. You might not agree with, some of the stances that he's put forth. But one of the things that happened when Trump won is we as a party, like the conservative party, the Republican Party, right? We were in a position where, it had been 8 years actually, where Obama had been in office. And I feel like as, a group of people that traditionally supported more conservative people, we were very, maybe not very good is the word, but we were accepting of the fact that, this is our president. We might not like the results of what happened, but we hope that he does the best for our country as a whole. We hope that he does the best, for our troops overseas. He does the best for us as a country economically. And I think that is something that has lost a lot of sight in, the last 4 years, especially in the last year. With all the crazy shit that's gone on, I feel like a lot of people are trying to just, reach out and attack people for whatever reason, just because, they might not necessarily have anything going on in their life with the virus or with all the other crazy shit that's going on. It's like they literally have nothing else to do, right? And this is what they are trying to, spend their time on. And I think a lot of people want to feel like they have a voice, even if it's not necessarily something that anybody's going to listen to. But I feel like to some extent, it's kind of a fair thing to, honestly, to recognize and to kind of not necessarily put on a pedestal, but I feel like recognize is the right way to describe it. So with that being said, I want to kind of get your guys' opinions on, everything that's going on in the political realm. Obviously, we know what's going to happen moving forward, right? And, from my perspective, from being somebody that's traditionally more conservative, I'm in a position now where Biden won, right? He's going to be going in office coming the start of the year. And for my sake and for everybody's sake, for everybody else's sake, I hope that he makes the best decisions for us as a country to be as successful, as powerful, as profitable, as, as on and on as the list as it goes, as positive as we can be. So what do you guys think about that?
Well,
I'm Trump 2020 all the way. I was all for Trump. I thought he did a pretty good job, but there was people out there that just didn't like him, so everything he did, they hated.
yeah.
But I accept the fact that Biden's our president. My life's gonna go on every day like it has been the last 23 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, though, if you actually think about this is one of the other things I want to talk about is, so Biden won, right? And over the course of the next 4, maybe even 8 years, if he gets reelected, if he lives that long, how much in your life is actually going to be affected by the decisions that he makes, realistically?
It all depends. If he's smart and doesn't try to actually just come at like us, because there's rumors of them wanting to take away our rights to own firearms and all that.
Right.
This
and I've heard those rumors.
That's what I'm saying. All I can say is we have that right, and I feel it's not going to get too enforced. And this is my belief, because the cops out there, I don't think are going to say, yeah, I'm going to go try to take somebody's firearm away from them.
Right.
Because that is either the potential of them getting killed, because my Second Amendment right is my Second Amendment right.
Absolutely.
If they pull in my driveway and say they're confiscating my guns, you better bring a body bag or multiple.
It's gonna be a shit
I am gonna say that.
And that's fine. You can say that.
I'm not like
I
that.
feel like you're not out of the, you're not out of your rights of being able to say that, because that's literally the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but when you start really trying to alter everything that has been done in this country, it's like, what the hell?
Right.
I
hear you.
All these people protesting and rioting and all this other shit because they're getting butt hurt, their feelings are getting hurt. It's like, when you gonna grow up?
Right.
When you gonna grow up?
So one of the other things that I kind of want to bring up real quick before I give you a chance to respond is I recently heard an argument that was fairly public, but so one of the big differentiators between cities and very rural areas like ours is the fact that, say you're in a situation where somebody breaks into your house, is trying to rob you, right? And, they're potentially holding you at gunpoint in your own home. Just think about that for a second, as if it's us in a situation where, our next closest neighbor could potentially be a mile or more away from us, right? And, if that's the case, you're in a situation where if you need to try and rely on law enforcement, by the time you call them and they get to your house, it's going to be way past too late.
Oh,
right.
Oh,
So that's one of the things I think that people in the city don't necessarily think of so much, is why all these people in the the urban areas, or not the urban areas, the less dense areas, the less populated areas, the farming areas, they are big sticklers on being able to have their Second Amendment protected, because it's to be able to protect themselves and their family and all the things they own and the things that they are legally able to own, from people that are not in a stable mental position. Well, not even that. The people that are just out to do harm, that are out to do things for the wrong reason. You should have the ability to be able to protect yourself from those individuals, and you can't necessarily rely on law enforcement to be there within, even 10 minutes. But if you're in a situation where you're in a city, New York City, for example, if you live in an apartment in New York City, there's a pretty good chance that you call the cops and NYPD is within a block or two away from you, and they can respond to that situation and potentially be able to help you, before shit goes south. But that's just not the case out here. That's one thing that I feel like a lot of people need to truly consider. And I feel like a lot of people don't. But I digress. Getting back to the fact, kind of what we talked about before, is as far as accepting the fact where Biden's going to be our president and trying to hope that he does the best for us as a country. What would you have to say based on that?
Well, I first saw this saying when Trump got elected. It could have been a saying well before that. I don't know. The best way to look at it is, if you don't support Trump winning, at the time, 2016, if you didn't support him winning and hoping that he failed as a president, that's like being on a fucking plane and hoping you don't like the pilot, so you hope he fails at flying the plane.
Yeah.
Well, what fucking sense does that make? Yeah, I hope Donald Trump fails as a president. He's leading the fucking country you're living in.
Right.
How that doesn't make any logical sense. And
that's like saying you want everything to go south for you.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Because it's just going to directly affect you and future generations. And I think that applies to this election going on. Yeah, don't agree with Biden or, stuff he's, plans to do. He wasn't my candidate. But for me to say, I hope he fails as a president, makes no fucking sense.
Right.
Why would I want the leader of the country do a fucking shitty job and affect me, family, friends, for future generations? I don't know. I guess that's the best way I can kind of put it without getting too far in depth, because I'm going to go off on a tangent and it's probably won't end well. But
no, that's fair.
Yeah, we don't need to get too fired up.
No.
And one of the other things too is, I feel like regardless of what political side you're on, one of the biggest issues is nobody can seem to meet in the middle, right?
Yeah, the country's so fucking divided now.
It's so divided.
It's wicked.
But the thing is it's not even the people's fault. Like, as a society, we kind of exist to disagree with each other in general, right? That's kind of the nature of human beings. We disagree with each other, we debate those topics, and we come together to try and figure out whatever, a viable solution may be. But with that being said, it's pretty fucked that the leaders of our country can't even do that. Like, they can't even sit in a room together and create some sort of compromise to try and meet in the middle to say, hey, if this is something you really are hellbound on and, you're not going to give up any ground in this, how can we compromise to meet in the middle so that, you get some of what you want, we get some of what we want. We can't even do that. And these are fucking grown adults who have been in politics for years on end now. And we can't even do that. It's like, I feel like I could just pick Joe Blow from fucking down the street to potentially have better negotiation skills than some of these politicians. And, with the virus, with everything associated with it, with the social justice issues, I feel like this is not a time to be as divided as we are as a country, regardless of what your political affiliation is. This is really a time where we need to be able to, like I said, compromise and, find a way to get back to those traditional ways in which the country was set up to be, one of the best countries, one of the most free countries, so that you can, live your life in a way that other people can't interfere on, and other people can't, try and control the way in which you live. And, right now it doesn't seem like that's the case at all. So, I'm hopeful that moving forward, hopefully Biden and the people that he selects to his team can try and find a way to get people to start fucking getting along.
I agree with it 100%.
And it doesn't have to be 100% our way. It doesn't have to be 100% their way. We just have to get to a point to where we can actually sit down in a room and
have some cooperation.
Even have a conversation. Like the political leaders can't even have a conversation.
That's the problem.
That's the craziest thing. And that's what they're elected to do. They're elected to represent us. They're not elected to represent, whatever it is that they believe or whatever their party believes or whoever the fuck's paying them to believe. Their whole role is to represent the people that vote them into fucking office.
Yeah, you're right.
But they can't even do that.
No.
Regardless of what party. It doesn't matter if you're fucking Democrat or Republican. They both suck ass at doing it right now.
Pretty much.
And
personally, my belief is I think we ought to just wipe the slate clean and start over.
What do you think our founding fathers would have fucking
would
say or think if they came back today?
That's the thing. I mean, here we go. We're trying to break off from Britain way back when, and
right,
we
because they were trying to control everything we did.
Exactly,
and now the government's in a position where they're kind of doing the same thing.
It's getting that way, and it's.
And I don't want to be in a position where we're in a fucking civil war. I don't think anybody wants that.
I mean, personally, I don't want that, but
that'd just be a shit show for everybody.
If like as much as time, it comes to time. I mean,
as unfortunate as that would be, yeah, there is some truth to that.
And that brings back to earlier when we were saying about hunting. There's people that know how to provide for themselves, and there's people that work with handouts. So I hate to say it, but
keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be much of a civil war if they really want to go at it. But
no, I hear you. I hear you for sure. It's just it's a very unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. I think, we're in a position where we don't need a leader that's trying to constantly divide us, but we need somebody that's trying to bring us together regardless of their political affiliation. And I think that honestly, all the candidates that were offered to us were not the best at doing that. Whichever way you look at it, I think we could have, of all the people that exist in this country, I think there could have been a lot better options in both political spectrums that could have been somewhat better at trying to unite us through all the shit that we're going through, and hopefully, lead us in a better direction. But, moving forward, we'll kind of get on the last little group of topics here. So we got a few things written down.
Yeah, you got a couple.
So we'll go ahead. We'll get into guns, and I'll let you guys just go wherever you want to go with that. It's completely up to you guys, because you two are definitely the guns guys. I have a little bit of gun knowledge, but I mean, if we're talking that kind of gun, maybe I'll know a little bit more. But anyway,
these are all natural.
Nah, I mean, same.
Ain't much gym guns here.
Oh my god. Anyway, let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on? I guess we don't need to go too much into gun laws, but just like, what are you guys excited about? What do you guys like? What are the best things that you guys have?
I'll start off. There's a big ammo shortage going on, so if anybody knows where you can get a bunch of ammo, send a DM on Instagram to
absolutely hit me up.
This one's for you. Yeah. So give us a little bit of it help. We're running real dry up here in New York. So
that's one of our pastimes up here, is just going out and
shooting
at targets and all that. But you can't do that because you can't find ammo.
I mean, even I do that. Exactly. I don't really hunt, but that's one of the things I do. Shoot fun. Exploding targets in my backyard. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but no ammo. So anybody knows any good hot spots or something like that, send
for sure.
Send a DM.
What else you got? What else you got in guns?
I don't know.
You? Anything? What do you really like? What are you glad you have? What would you wish you could have?
I mean, I wish I could have a lot.
Yeah,
a lot more than what you got.
More than what I got, but.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't make that kind of money. I'm not Dan Bilzerian over here. But,
Well,
Yeah.
part of it probably you'd have to move out of New York, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
well, that'd be one, but I need to find something else to get rich like he does. I'm not that good at card games, so.
All right, that's fair.
I mean that goes back to ultimate future
Yeah.
plans. I just got to win the lottery, the multi-millions there, whatever the fuck
Well,
it's
I mean-
called, and I'd be good.
The problem is we ain't gonna get that because money goes to money. It's simple as that. Money goes to money.
There's a lot of truth to that, unfortunately. So moving on, the next thing we got here is beer. So I'm drinking Miller Lite. Austin's drinking Busch Heavy.
That's right.
And Kyle is drinking Peebs.
Yeah.
A little bit of
That's weird.
PBR.
If any representative from
Exactly.
Paps is listening to this, get a hold
I mean,
of me.
the Jenny Light's pretty good too. I
Oh
will
my
say that.
God.
These guys just don't understand it.
Well-
Jenny Light is pretty good.
I mean, I go to school in Rochester, so I know all about the Jenny
It's
Light,
good
and it's
shit.
dog shit.
I'm going to
Wow.
say that
Dog shit.
the cream ale, they're wasting their money making.
Cream
that.
ale's a joke.
It's just bad. But
I'd go Jenny Heavy.
I'm good with the Jenny Light.
I'd go Jenny Heavy.
All right. So if it wasn't Jenny, what would your first choice
Oh,
be?
PBR.
PBR.
PBR every day of the week.
I was born on Bush, but I mean, I do like my Blue Light.
Blue Light. I feel like, at least for us guys up here, if somebody shows up with a 30 rack of Blue Light, you're not going to be too upset about it.
No.
Across the board. Like, it doesn't matter who you talk to up here. We're that close to the border. I feel the Canadians can make some pretty decent beer.
Molson's pretty
Molson,
good too.
yeah.
I, do
I
like the
love
Molson.
Molson. I
Molson's
really like
good.
Molson.
But
It's
it's-
fucking good shit.
It is more expensive, so I'll
Yeah.
stick to my Bush.
But if it's going to be a little bit of an extra occasion, somebody gets some Blue Light or some Molson, I'm not upset about it.
No,
No,
that's
I don't
not-
think anybody would. I
that's
mean,
not one
that's-
to turn,
that's what
to
I'm
turn a
saying.
frown. No,
Exactly. Everybody likes the Molson.
but
But if you guys were trying to go for a beer that you could spend however much money wasn't an issue, what would you go for?
PBR in a bottle.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can't fucking beat it. You can't find it though either.
I'm gonna stick to my Bush.
PBR in a bottle any day of the week.
So the thing is if it was me answering this question, I would say something about some sort of craft beer,
Well, yeah.
something along those lines. But
That's
You
why
can-
you went to RIT.
I mean, that's a little part of it, but you can hear/see who I'm talking to. So it makes sense. So we'll move on to the next thing. This is definitely a subject that I am nowhere near as versed in as these two. We're talking about dip. We're talking about chewing tobacco. We're talking about, whatever it is that you guys like to divulge in for some nicotine.
I think the only way we can talk about this is if you threw one in.
No, not right now.
I
Don't
don't know.
knock it till you try it.
Yeah, the old Copenhagen is never.
I mean, I've
bad
tried it. I
choice.
haven't tried that, but I've tried it.
None of that pussy skull shit though.
Fuck. Big. I can see you being a big skull berry type of guy.
Oh.
Like a berry?
A skull berry.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah, I can see that'd be something for you.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Cope straight. That's the way to go.
So in the last time I did a little bit of that was wintergreen pouches. I know you guys aren't big on pouches.
No. Well, I mean,
He
I chewed-
used to be then.
Who, him?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. When I had, that's the only thing I could chew was pouches when I had a broken jaw.
No, that's true.
So I was on pouches for a long time. Then I went back to long cut. Now it's just Copenhagen straight
Jesus.
long cut. Oh, it's
What do you?
tasty.
What's your go-to chew?
I don't really have a go-to chew. I switch it up all the time just for different. I mean, I go from Cope Wintergreen to Grizz Green to Cope Matte, Cope Straight. And every once in a while, I like go get good old just the old Leaf Red Man or
Yeah,
Beach Nut or something like that.
Levi Garrett.
Well, the good thing is we're in a situation where the res isn't that far away, so you can get pretty much whatever you want for a pretty good price.
So the
Ah.
prices,
In
are,
bulk.
prices are going
I
up.
was
now.
gonna
Really?
say the prices are
I
going
mean,
up.
I haven't been to the res in literally like 2-3 years,
They-
so
It's actually gone up significantly, but
it's still better than what you can get here.
Depends what you drive.
pretty much. Pretty much.
All right, that's
I mean, like back in the day, when you guys really didn't
When we were in
chew
high
or
school,
anything like that, and I was chewing, and you guys were big into going to the casino. Yeah, it was worth it to me because I just rode with you guys while you went to the
Right.
casino, and I got a couple.
We rode the
lots.
man van.
Yeah,
Fucking-
the old
yeah, the
man
fucking
van.
man.
Fucking
Yeah.
man van.
That
Stop
was-
at Taco Bell on the way home.
Oh my
fuck
God.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
a pussy pounder, I'll tell you
The
that.
fucking man van.
Oh,
my
God.
You
God.
drop the back seats in, and you're good to go.
Woo.
No wonder why the struts are rotten.
All right, so we'll move on to the next best topic, which is whiskey. So, whiskey as a whole, I tend to be a bit more of a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys definitely are probably too. Scotch, I don't know if you guys have dabbled with Scotch at all.
Little
I
bit,
don't
too
like it
much.
at all.
Not a fan.
You know, we could go.
Disaronno, I love my Disaronno.
Disaronno
That
is
is-
good shit.
that is an all
What
around.
kind of whiskey is that?
Yeah.
You know,
It's like an I think it says Italian liqueur on
so it's
Whatever the
not
fuck
truly a
that
whiskey
means.
technically.
it. I don't think it's a whiskey.
What are you throwing in a
it's-
hammer? Would you just look at that?
Throw a horseshoe in?
It's just a little one. I mean, it ain't
No, it's
nothing-
just a little guy.
Throw a set
Ain't
and throw a
nothing too
horseshoe
big.
in.
But anyway, Disaronno, good shit for sure. But if we're talking whiskey, you know, what are you guys thinking?
Well, number one is Jim Beam.
Yeah.
You mean Jack Daniels?
Jack Daniels number two. Bad experiences with Jack Daniels, though, I will say that. And both of you guys know that.
Yeah,
I think-
unfortunately. Although it's number one.
But
I pretty much just stick to Jack and Jim.
And
Diesel every now and then.
Bird Dog's pretty good.
Bird
I will say
Dog's
Bird
good.
Dog's pretty good.
I haven't had that.
What's that fucking? What's the peanut butter one?
Screwball.
Screwball. What's that?
See,
Is that whiskey?
It's peanut butter whiskey. That's good
I'm
shit.
not a
I
big,
love that
big
shit.
fan of the Screwball.
Oh,
I'll
that's
say
good
that.
stuff.
That's like a quick sip.
Yeah, that's
of
how
thing.
you get
Not-
drunk pretty fucking fast.
That's not something.
It's
You
like
wanna just
35% alcohol.
be
It's
pounding.
good stuff. Oh yeah, it is. Trying to go out and have a good time. So Jack is not your number one.
No.
Nope, definitely Jim. I'm gonna
Jim.
Stick with the
If we're
Jim.
being specific, Jim Beam Maple.
So, so is that a cost thing or is it a just overall
Overall, I think. I just,
The Jim has a better,
Oh, I mean,
better
I-
taste. I think.
than Jack Daniels?
I think it does.
So if
I
you're
really think it
drinking,
does.
if you're drinking regular Jim Beam compared to regular, just normal old number 7 Jack Daniels.
Oh,
Go
I'll
Jim
tell you,
Beam.
I'll hammer Jim Beam straight
Okay.
yeah.
more before Jack Daniels. I will
To
say
be
that.
to be completely honest, I don't feel like I have a preference to one or the other. So
Mhm.
I guess I'll have to go with you guys now. I mean, I know I love Jim Beam Maple. That holds a special place in the heart.
Yeah.
Had a few too many long nights with the Jim Beam Maple, but you know, it'll hold a special
I mean,
place.
There were some good mornings back in high school with the Jim Beam Maple. I will say that. Put a little bit in your coffee.
Load up the coffee cups and head into first period.
Mint.
I can't
Economics. Or
I
what the
can't
fuck it was.
believe the weekends after we had that you guys would fucking show up with that shit. I mean, I can, but I can't. And it was hilarious. I literally walk in, I'm, late as usual. The first thing I'd say to you guys, like, what the fuck are you guys drinking? Oh, coffee. Like, okay, what are you actually drinking?
Coffee.
Coffee. And then somebody whisper in my ear, well, Jim Beam Maple. Like, all right, respect. It's good shit. So we'll move on to the last thing we got on this list is music. So I'm a country music guy, but
You're pop country.
Yeah, he's
there it
pop
is.
country.
I didn't even have to say it.
It's the new country.
It's the new wave.
Yeah.
It's a new wave of country music, but I do enjoy older country. I enjoy 80s country. I enjoy 90s country. Probably not to the level that these two do, but I enjoy all of it. So what do you guys think about today's country?
It's fucking horrible. It's
It
fucking
is, it's fucking
garbage.
horrible.
It's not country.
I mean, you might as well start comparing it to goddamn Nicki Minaj.
All right, that's a little much.
I mean, it's pretty much getting up there. I hate to say it, it's getting up there.
Yeah.
All right, that's all you're saying.
That's what I gotta say about that. You ain't gonna beat Hank Jr. You ain't gonna beat Willie Nelson. You ain't gonna beat Johnny Cash. Right down there, that's enough from the peanut gallery.
It ain't country anymore.
All right,
It's not.
so hear me out. If you had to pick one country artist from, now
from now.
that was your favorite, who would it be?
Tyler Childers.
Yep.
You too? That's who you'd pick?
Yeah.
Kyle?
He's up there. Him. I like Upchurch.
Oh yeah,
I
he's
do like Upchurch.
Yeah, okay, hold
Upchurch
on.
is
But
an
you can't say
all-around
he's
guy.
true country because he does a lot of like the hick hop shit. Hick hop shit.
He does dabble in that, but
What do you mean he dabbles? That's his like primary
I'm gonna
identity.
say-
there's a couple that he doesn't.
Upchurch
go
is
full
all around. Like he can do
He's
he
versatile.
can do like a good country. He can do the hip hop. He can do rock.
Mhm.
He's like, what's the word there?
Versatile.
Versatile. Yeah.
Versatile.
He can do all that, and he does a pretty good stand-up job.
That's good.
Him. Cody Jenks.
Cody Jenks is very
Pretty
good.
good.
I don't even know how to describe him. He's kind of like a folk kind of country hippie kind of pretty unique vibe. But if you guys had to give your next like, I don't know. So if you both agree on Tyler Childers as your number one, who would you give as your 2 and 3? Because that is as far as new artists go.
I don't.
No,
listen to a
you
lot
had
of-
to. If you had to, even if
I
you don't
really
listen
don't
to a
know.
lot of new shit.
I don't. I really don't.
Even if you don't listen to a lot of new shit, who would you?
Whiskey Myers.
If I was holding a gun to your head, and you had to list your top 3, new country guys from the last 5 to 8 years.
Obviously, Luke Combs.
Okay, number 2.
I'd say that.
Like actually? Like, do you actually
Yeah,
like Luke Combs?
I like Luke Combs
Okay.
a little bit.
Well, a little bit, he says.
Certain songs.
Number 3? You have number 3?
I really don't. Like I say, I don't really listen to a lot of the newer stuff.
All right, so what would not new country, but who would your number 3 be in general?
See, that's hard.
You got to give me one. Gun to your head. Life in the line. What do you got?
I'm gonna have to stick with Hank.
Hank
Jr.
Hank Jr. Okay, what do you got? 2, 3.
2 and 3. I'm like Whiskey Myers. He's up there.
Okay. All right, so number 3.
I'm going through my playlist right now because I just can't think.
Jesus Christ.
Johnny Cash, good.
Johnny Cash, I feel like is a very good one.
Johnny Cash.
I would.
He's
He's top 5 for me.
Colt Ford. I really like Colt Ford.
Jesus Christ. I don't know
Colt
if I
Ford
like-
is pretty good.
I like him.
Yeah.
All
Cody
right.
Johnson.
Cody Johnson's good.
No, I don't know. My playlist changes quite a bit.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up
Right now.
with music right there. But we're getting to the point where we got to wrap this shit up. We've been at it for quite a while, boys. I'm pretty impressed with how well this has gone. But the one last thing I want to get to, is there anything else that you guys want to discuss? Any last topic that either of you two want to talk about real quick? I'll kind of leave these last few minutes up to you guys.
Man. I don't know, Austin. You got anything off the top of your head right now?
Not
Can be
a
quick.
whole lot, but
Go ahead, throw your 2 cents in there, whatever you want.
all I can say is we got to get the goddamn future, the kids. We got to get them more outside and away from the phones, the video games, the TV, and all this other shit. We get them outside.
Get them outside. All right, what do you got? No, go ahead.
And discipline. Parents, you got to start disciplining your kids. Get them to respect you. I'm gonna tell you what. I see it every day. I see kids talking back to their mothers and all that. I hear shit that these kids say to them. If I said that to my mother, I would get my ass jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. I know your mother.
I would get my ass.
I know your
jacked.
fucking mother. Yeah, that's the truth.
Even my father.
I also know your
Yeah,
father, and I
and-
feel like that's more the truth. But
Yeah.
all right, what do you got?
I don't know. I don't know now.
If you had to leave the people with, a couple few words of advice, what would you leave them with?
Drink more PBR, chew more coke,
And
buy more guns.
buy more guns?
Just not the ammo. I need more ammo.
All righty. That's all we got, boys. Listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in for this episode. Like I said, I never thought this would happen, but I'm very glad that it did. And hopefully at some point, if this goes over as well as I hope it does, we can have these guys on for part 2. I would love nothing more than to do that. And maybe, even if that goes well, it can be a every 3 to 6 months kind of thing. Have the boys on, have a little bit of an update. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Even if you guys don't like it, I might do it anyway. But thank you for listening to this. Thank you for all your support. If you want to help us out, give us a follow on Instagram at thisonesforyou.pod. You can check us out on basically anywhere you stream any sort of podcast, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, all the places to get your podcasts. Give us a subscription, give us a follow, give us a review. Anything you can do to help us out, I really appreciate it. And thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. Take care.